Ross, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Joe. I'll be in Chicago. Unfortunately, the Eagles will not be there.
Yeah,
so that's
boy.
a major bummer for me.
You aren't kidding, man. So, Ross, what's your biggest takeaway from the loss?
Massive missed opportunity that we will look back on 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and recognize just how bad it was. Because I don't think people understand enough. It is rare, very rare, to have the most talented roster, which I believe the Eagles do.
I will just say I don't think they were anymore, but keep going.
Okay. To have them in their prime and to have them healthy. You just don't get that very often.
Yeah, rare. Yep.
And it's kind of wild, actually, because let's put it this way. I don't think the Eagles would trade their roster with any other roster in the league over the last 4 years. And so it's fascinating because they went to the Super Bowl twice, and they lost in the first round twice. But in particular in that game, you are the much healthier team. You are rested. You're playing as a team that got the crappy out of them the week before. You're playing at home. That's a game you really cannot lose. And we'll see what happens next year and whether or not they bounce back from it. But you have to understand, like, they're going to lose a bunch of guys this offseason. It never stays the same. And, you know, how much longer do they have this core group of guys in their prime? Is Lane done? Opportunities like this do not come along very often. I think we've all sort of gotten spoiled by just how good the roster's been the last 4 years. It's not like this. You know, they had to run with McNabb and Westbrook and Trotter and those guys, but these things actually happen really few and far between. You got to capitalize when you've got this many good young players in their prime playing at home. It's just a massive missed opportunity in that particular game, but really the season in general.
I agree.
Russ, you've been around the country. You do a lot. You do games for all these other teams too. You're around these other fan bases. How much do other NFL fan bases respect our head coach?
I think that there's a healthy skepticism. I think because of what they see on TV and some of the ways that he's conducted himself, I think when people talk about the Eagles, and you guys know I do hits for Odyssey in pretty much every city, they are enamored by the roster. They think the Eagles have the most talent, and they think Sirianni, more or less, is the benefactor of that roster. And like I know, Joe, you say you don't think that's true, and
No, I'm not saying he doesn't benefit. He clearly does. I think independent of that, he's really, really good. I really do.
No, I think he does a lot of good things as well. I'm also, but what I'm saying is, I think we can debate if you think there's a better roster. What I would tell you is, in Sunday's game, go through it man by man and tell me how many San Francisco 49ers would have started for the Eagles on Sunday. It is no more than a handful. You have to win that game. You have to win the game if you've got the better player at 17, 18 of the positions.
Wow.
Whatever it is.
Well, Ross, let me ask you this question, because this was our Monday poll, and man, did I disagree with the poll result and the nature of the calls we received. The poll question Monday was, who do you blame more for the loss? The coaches or the players? 85% said the coaches. I strongly leaned in the direction of the players. Where would you come down on that poll?
Probably closer to 50-50, but the players did not play well. I mean, you can't have the drops that they had, the penalties. But let me give. I'm going to give you guys an example, and then you tell me, is this on the player or on the coach? They throw a swing pass to Saquon. Darius Cooper is blocking like 7 yards downfield. He has a nice block. Saquon's about to run by him, and Cooper holds the guy. As the guy tries to make the tackle, Cooper's grabbing him outside, takes him to the ground. it's a holding penalty. So is that on the player because Cooper did a really dumb thing that he didn't need to do? When you're in space, you don't hold like that because the refs can all see you. It's a DB. It's Saquon Barkley. Let the guy try to make a tackle in space with an arm tackle. Is that on the player or is that on the coaches for having an undrafted rookie free agent out of Tarleton State in a big spot in a playoff game out there in a critical juncture? I can't answer that.
Well, I put it more on the player, but I understand that the coaches, of course, you want to say, well, teach him better, but I also can't imagine they didn't.
Well, not only teach him better, but also they have him in that spot. If you're going to have an undrafted rookie free agent from Tarleton State out there, game before, Joe, he spun the ball.
I know
at the Commanders.
But here's what I'd say to that:
if you're going to have a kid like that out there, they're probably going to make some mistakes that cost you.
I agree with that, but here's what I'll say, and I accept this as a fan. That's the price of doing business. If I have 17 different players making $20 million or more, I mean, you know what I'm saying? At some point, you're going to have a guy out there making league minimum, just because it's inevitable if all these other guys are making bonanza bucks.
And you know what's not being talked about enough? The defense.
Oh, it was a real
chance
letdown.
That I think that they would give up 23 points. Now, the first drive was Quinion. He was awesome after that. Cooper DeJean's always awesome. But you know what didn't happen? The week before, the Seahawks D-line tore up that Niners offensive line. And I know that they got Trent Williams back, and he helps. But the Eagles' defensive line did not do what they needed him to do in that game. And even when they did get pressure, Purdy was able to figure it out and get the ball out and make plays. The defense was a major letdown. I think I told you guys last week, the first team to 20 wins, and the Niners got there and the Eagles didn't.
So, Ross, I want to get a lot of calls in here. I do want to ask you one more question before we go to the calls, and I'll set it up this way. We know under Jeffrey Lurie, over the last roughly 15 years, the Eagles have moved on from some incredibly prominent figures in their franchise. And the question I'm going to ask you is if you think Jalen and Sirianni's jobs are on the line at 26. But just know this for context. Doc, who, of course, was near the end of his career, but they didn't keep him. And that's different because it was an aging player, but still, I think, a big mistake. They moved on from Banner. They moved on from Andy. They moved on from Howie, although brought him back. Never really fired him, but you know what I mean. They initially moved on from Chip, moved on from Carson, moved on from Foles before that. I mean, these are all really...
Howie, right?
Well, I already said Howie.
Okay.
So knowing that they are typically quicker than most to make a change, and I think it's part of why they've been successful. They didn't give Doug 21. Like, they just said, not going well, one bad year, done. Do you think, Ross, in 26, Sirianni and Jalen's jobs are on the line?
I think depending on how 26 goes, it's very possible that one of them is not back in 27.
I agree with you.
So that's a yes.
That's
the point.
a yes.
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's more likely not back?
The way you made it sound, Joe, you made it sound like I guess they're both independently.
Of course.
And I can't foresee a scenario where they're both gone.
Oh, listen, if they flop out, I could. I mean, Doug and Carson were both gone the same offseason. It happened within 2 months.
If you had
Doug
to
was
pick
gone in January,
between them,
and
Ross,
Carson in March or April, whatever it was.
To be more likely the one gone after 2026, would it be Nick or would it be Jalen?
So that, to me, is always a product of what their other options are. Let's say that they both have middling years. Eagles go 10-7, lose in the playoffs, and neither one of them has a great year. I think a lot of that depends on what other coaches are available and who else could the Eagles get at quarterback. I don't think people look at it that way enough. But, you know, a year from now, and I don't know if they'd want him or not, but a year from now, I think Mike Tomlin is going to do TV for a year, and then I think he's going to be a head coaching candidate. And so, I don't know. That doesn't really seem like the Jeffrey Lurie way.
Right.
They usually get a coordinator and have a position coach like Andy Reid or Doug Peterson or Nick and have a lot of success with it. So it seems like that would be the more likely route than a guy like Mike Tomlin. But my point is they are a very smart organization. They don't just move on from what they have without feeling like there's a decent chance that they can get someone better. Now, I don't know if there's any way they thought or any of us thought Sirianni would be better than Doug, but that panned out. Or, quite frankly, that Hurts would be better than Wentz.
It was a risk.
What?
Yeah, it was a risk.
Yeah, but guess what? I don't really think that they did either. Wasn't it that next year they tried to get Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson?
They contemplated it for sure. How aggressive they were, I'm not quite sure, but they certainly were more than kicking the tires. Yeah. All right, let's get a lot of calls in here. Look, all of it's on the table, to say the least, but a particular focus today on our show on Nick Sirianni, who I'll stand by as being great, but I understand why people say he's not, but I still think he's great, and a incredibly disappointing end of the season and frustrating season at large isn't going to push me over the edge to say he's only good or average or, as some people say, bad.